episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And today, we've got a little bit of a betting episode for you, talking about some NFL prop bets. We did an episode like this a little while back, but I was not prepared because I misunderstood the assignment. So today, I am prepared. But before we get into it, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Wednesday evening? And how are you, Theo? Because for those that are going to be watching this on Thursday, it'll be Theo's birthday. How are you going to be celebrating?
I was thinking about maybe just going fishing or something.
Yeah.
But honestly, I kind of have a lot of work to do, so I might take the day off next week and work
but you
tomorrow.
have to do something. It's your special day, bro.
It's your special day. You're turning what, 17?
I'm turning 17. I'm excited to be able to drive my own car finally. No. I already went to Red Rocks, the music amphitheater, and I watched Mad Max Fury Road out there. That was cool. Awesome sound system, obviously. Big ass screen in the elements with a rowdy crowd. That was fun. I've got a party on Saturday. Just gonna have some friends over. I'm not really too much of a birthday guy, making a huge deal of it or going out, going crazy, drinking all night. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Well, you will be receiving a text on your birthday, as well as you will get the annual Stay Hot meme post as we all attend.
That's all I really want, is the Stay Hot meme post.
Yeah.
That we can do.
Okay. Matt, how are you doing?
I don't have anything to report at all. I'm racking my brain. I'm wearing my green shirt today. That's pretty good.
The comments are going to love this because they've been saying that you've been notoriously monochromatic.
Yes, I had to throw on the green with some pride. My favorite color.
Matthew Brad Hour.
What? It is a little. It's kind of close to the Brad shade. It's maybe I don't know. It's pretty good.
A little lighter.
Goodwill though. I got it unrelated. Nothing against Charlie XCX, but I'm kind of doing my own thing. But yeah, outside of that, not much. How about you, Blaiden?
Oh, I've just been working a lot, but preparing for more music, working on some new songs, but
Sweet.
just kind of head down right now.
You're a head down type of guy. Do we want to get into these prop bets?
Nah, man, we should just keep talking shit.
We had the 32-person fantasy league, Matt.
Oh, we did.
Are we gonna?
You were
not talk
probably
about
the
that?
most controversial member. I mean, would you like to read off your team? For those who don't know, we do a 32-team draft every year on Sleeper.
Yes.
We did it this year.
Low-key, I don't like my team.
It's nobody does. Like almost nobody does after because it's multiple flex, multiple receiver, multiple running back, 32 teams. I mean, it gets bleak.
It does get bleak. And I was going to the movie during the draft, so I was in the car for some of it. And when I took my eyes off the phone, it drafted me a kicker and a defense like in the middle of the draft. I was like, God damn it. I would have rather have used that on tight end, because when I list off my singular tight end, you'll see why. But the team starting quarterback, we got Sam Darnold. Starting running backs, we've got Achane and Aaron Jones.
Hey.
Definitely the strong point of the team. Deebo Samuel and Khalil Shakir are my wide receivers.
Hey.
Jared Wiley is my tight end. Bucky Irving and Nelson Aguilar are my flex players. Jake Moody is the kicker that it drafted way too early. And I have the Giants defense. On my bench, I have Derek Carr, Jordan Mims, Cody Schrader, Jamari Thrash, and Tristan Jackson. That's the lineup.
So, for those who don't know, the league also plays bad kickers, so they only score if they miss. So taking a kicker high is like really, really worthless.
Well, maybe Moody will sell. He wasn't great last year.
That's true. You can try to play, and it's 7 points for a missed field goal, 15 for a missed extra point. It's flipped games before. I think it flipped a playoff game 2 years ago one time.
So Matt, are you in both 32-man fantasy leagues?
Well, not to get too much into explaining the 32 team lore, but we decided to do a AAA team because I said I was going to boot the bottom 4 from the 32 team last year, and then Blaiden ended up being in the bottom 4. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a AAA because more people wanted to join it. So it's like almost like a relegation league. So Blaiden, you were in that one. I'm in that one, but I'm only like running it. I'm not actually really playing. I auto draft it, and I'll just set the line.
Oh, okay.
But my team, I got Dak back. I got Terry McLaurin.
Would it be like
Nico
the winner?
Collins.
Would it be the winner of the AAA league would replace, or like the top 4 would replace the bottom 4? Okay, that's a cool system. Actually, I think that'll work out really well. My team last year was horrible in the 32 team fantasy league. I'll list that team off, and then I'll list off what my team is currently. So my team last year, at the end of the season, or should I do my week 1 team?
You should just list off the team you've got this year.
Okay, I'll just list off the team I have this year. The team I have this year, I feel pretty good about. Quarterback Jalen Hurts, running back 1 James Cook, running back 2 David Montgomery, wide receiver 1 Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver 2 Jacoby Myers, tight end Jelani Woods, flex 1 Luke McCaffrey, flex 2 Alan Lazard, kicker Daniel Carlson, and defense Cleveland Browns.
It's better than the team you had last year. It's a lot better than the team you had last year.
I'm trying really hard right now to make a trade for Nick Chubb, but
the
guy that I'm trying to trade with, he was like, "I'm not trading Nick Chubb unless you give me one of your running backs," and I said no. That's happening.
That's fair. Matt, what's your 32 man roster looking like
right now?
Okay, I can list it off for you. Then you've got
crazy.
You've got Dak, you've got Jalen Wright, Jamal Williams.
I went light on running
backs, but your wide receivers are Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, and then in the flex you have Josh Downs and Jalen McMillan, which I really like. Ferguson is your tight end. The Bears are your defense. Graham Gano is your kicker. You win with the Dak handcuff and Cooper Rush as the backup quarterback. That's smart. You have a lot of wide receivers, Matt. You have Khalif Raymond, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Van Jefferson, and Tyler Scott on your bench. That means Jalen Wright and Jamal Williams are your only 2 running backs.
Unfortunately, that is true. We got down to it, and then it's like there's running backs who just like won't play. Like they're not going to see the field ever. I definitely did go light. My logic there was that you're going to be horrifically light at one position no matter what. You might as well make that running back, and then I'm going to hopefully try to play the field in the middle of the season, and hopefully I have maybe some of those deep bench guys. Khalif Raymond could be like a sneaky wide receiver 3 in a 32-man league. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll see. I went with on my bench just rookies that I kind of like. That like who knows if they'll ever see the field, but if they do,
Bucky Irving.
You better be right on Bucky Irving because you moved me to draft him. Well, but at any rate,
let's get into these prop.
Get into these prop bets. Yeah, after that.
All right.
But we'll for sure talk about the 32-man league. So it's good to get the 32 person league, I should say. Yeah, there's no segregation here.
32-man league and then a 32-woman league.
And the 32 non-binary league. No, it can be anybody. I don't know if we have anybody but men in there, but at any rate.
You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're really a heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper, only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare ya. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's locations. I'm interested. Matt, what's a prop bet you're really feeling right now? I think we're doing 5 each.
Yeah, we're doing 5 each. We'll rotate. And the prop bets are more to talk about something that we think is more likely to happen or less likely to happen than what the consensus is, and less about like the betting itself. Not to say that it's not about the betting at all, but one thing that I really like stuck out to me that I guess I'm questioning about the sports books is they really, really, really don't hate the Chargers. They kind of think the Chargers are pretty decent. They've got the Chargers at like an 8.5 win total. And I guess the logic is Herbert's still there, and they'll get some easier matchups in the division with the Broncos and the Raiders. So maybe they feel like they can get something done. But you could get the Chargers to miss the playoffs at -130. That, to me, seems like an incredibly good deal because there's a very big difference between the Chargers hitting that 9th win and them making the playoffs outright in a very difficult AFC. I think that's a pretty tough path for them. So my first bet was them. I don't know if you guys disagree and you think the Chargers are like sneaky sleepers, but I just don't quite have them there.
They make me nervous to bet against just because their schedule is pretty easy. They begin Raiders, Panthers, Steelers. They get the Broncos in the first 5 weeks of the year. I could see them having like, let's see, 3. I think they could have 5 or 6 wins by the end of October when you look at their schedule.
I mean, Saints, but I'll say this. They are kind of like, they're not so good where it's like, dude, they're just going to win all these circled games. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're going to be in battles for each one of those, it feels like, even if they have Herbert.
There's a couple things that still need to be sorted out, which is like, can Greg Roman call an above average passing offense? Because he hasn't always done that, even when he has an elite quarterback. And how much of a leap is the defense going to take? Was it a Staley problem or was it a talent problem? Because it was definitely somewhat a talent problem, right? So I definitely can see the Chargers being mid, missing the playoffs. But with a weak schedule and a franchise quarterback, what's their over under 8.5?
8.5 wins. And this is why I don't think the play is 8.5 wins, but missing the playoffs, it's like for -130 feels like really good odds. And I don't know. I just Greg Roman with, I mean, some of the worst weapons in the entire NFL, if not the worst weapons in the entire NFL. It sounds like even with Herbert in there, it's going to be a disaster, you know? And if we set the expectation now that Herbert is going to be able to figure something out, you know, no matter what the situation is, then it's going to be tough to play him as if man, you know, come week 12 or whatever. So
right.
I think we got to lay off that and assume that these pitiful Chargers, if Herbert can even will them to 1 win, he's in the top 5 conference.
That's true, but Matt, I'm a little disappointed in your faith in Ladd McConkey right now.
I mean, I liked him. I'm high on him, but I mean, he wouldn't even. I mean, he was like my 5th key wide receiver, and that's like their best guy. It's
yeah. I mean, they've only made the playoffs once in Herbert's 4 years as a starter, so it's not I don't think it's a bad bet to say they'll miss the playoffs.
No, not at all.
So yeah, I like that. I like the missing the playoffs play because he has gotten to 9 wins before Herbert with you know, consistently kind of mid players, I'd say. But Blaiden, what have you got?
Pains me to say it. I'm taking a player prop here. TJ Watt, over 13.75 sacks. The only time he hasn't hit that in the last 5 years was when he tore his pec. Otherwise, he is like basically led the league in sacks almost every single year he's been in the league. 13.75 feels very, very low for him.
Yeah, it's a really high sack total, but with him, it's kind of like you're not going to set someone's over under at like 17, but it kind of feels like that's where Watt's at every single year. So I can see that.
I don't know, man. Just feels like too easy of a play for him to hit at this point. He led the league last year.
He did lead the league last year, and there's no real reason to believe that he's going to take some massive step back. You know, he's still 29 years old. I guess you're a little bit worried possibly about just kind of like sack luck regression with him, maybe paired with like if he could get banged up for a couple of weeks, could he hit that under? But I agree. That's one of those things where it's like, man, they'd probably really have to get injured. And I don't hate that one.
Right. Betting on the injury bug to get him and be like,
well, I mean, that's why a lot of these player prop lines are low, especially with like running backs. Everyone you look at, where it's like, well, dude, if this guy plays 17 games, like he's not going to hit that. And it's like, well, playing the 17 games is part of the hard part. With TJ, he's been a little banged up in the past, but has played double-digit games every single year of his career and has played at least 15 every year but one. And then has hit that number, 4 out of the last 5 years. It's like, all right, there's enough good history.
Right.
I could agree with that one. It wouldn't shock me if TJ, I mean, maybe the hot take, maybe I don't know what his line is, but maybe it's TJ coming back for Defensive Player of the Year. Wouldn't shock me.
I don't know what his odds are for Defensive Player of the Year.
He's right in that running, of course.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure he is. But while I look at that, Theo, what prop do you have on mind right now?
So I've got some singles that I think you can hit, and then I've got some big ones. Do you want to hear the singles or the long shots first?
I want to hear. Let's hear the singles first.
Okay. I've got some wide receivers who I think are basically locks to hit their overs. One is Nico Collins at 975.5. I just think he's better than that. If he missed 1,000 yards this year, something will have had to have gone disastrously wrong, right? He's the entire package. He had 1,300 last year. I guess it is an injury thing, but like he cruised past 975 last year, and he missed 2 games. He averaged 86
targets. This is the problem with the Nico Collins conversation. People talk about him like he had 140 targets last year. I know he probably won't be as like ridiculously efficient, but I just think he's going to not see some huge target downtick. He's going to produce similar to last year. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if it gets into the season and it's like Collins is taking away from Diggs. And that's going down. Because Collins is the ascending player and Diggs is the regressing player. And that's what the numbers from last year are showing us, right? And it's like I'm a little nervous because the sample size is a little small to be like, hey, that's how it's going to keep going for sure, lock it in. But if you had to predict it, like that's kind of how you would think going in. And then with like, I know the Texans like starter lineups, I saw some tweet, maybe I'm paraphrasing this improperly, but that sort of Dell is the guy who's seeing the bench first. Or off the field first. Not necessarily because he's not talented enough, but just because that's how things shake out, and they got 3 really good guys. It's like if that's the case, then I think Collins is the alpha, and everybody else's targets are impacted.
Yeah, I mean, he is an injury risk. I really do get it, but I think he could miss a month of the season and hit 975 yards.
If he played, 12, 13 games? I think
Yeah, Jalen Waddle, another guy who's kind of like that. Again, he's been banged up over the course of his career, definitely but he's also always been over what his over is, which is 1,500 yards. If he can just be an 1,000-yard receiver, he'll hit it. And I just think he's a safe bet to do it. Even if he is on the injury report like last year, he still put up 1,014 over the last 2 seasons. We had this debate a while ago. His per 17 game average is 1,300 yards. So what I'm looking for there is just a little bit of wiggle room, and I think he's got that. And then the other wide receiver over that I like a lot is Zay Flowers, 875, as the clear and far and away number one on a pretty great Baltimore offense. Like they really figured out how to use him last year. At first, he got off to a bit of a slow start, but by the end, he was their main guy by far. So let's see if I go. The splits don't even matter, but
I will play a little devil's advocate with you here, Theo. Mm-hmm. Mark Andrews missed half the season. They're adding Derrick Henry. How does that impact Zay Flowers? I don't know if he would be the clear number one option to get the ball. I mean, just in terms of who you want if they're throwing the ball, he's the number two. And just in terms of like who you want carrying the rock, he's probably fourth.
Well, let's see. Like, what's another elite offense? The Kansas City Chiefs. There's room for more than just a tight end, a running back.
What did Rice do last year? That might be a good comparison.
What did Rashee Rice do last year? I mean, I don't know. He did. The Chiefs may not be the best example, but just because like Derrick Henry is there and Mark Andrews is there, like you're still going to need to throw the football to the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Like there's no offense that completely runs to the tight end and halfback. Like
2014 Kansas City Chiefs didn't throw any touchdowns to their wide receivers.
Sure, but we're not talking about touchdowns. We're talking about yards.
And I promise you, they didn't get 800 yards either. Matt, you're muted, by the way.
And we're talking about the 2024 Ravens, not the 2014 Kansas City Chiefs. Rice had 940 yards, but I also don't think saying Rashee Rice is Zay Flowers is probably like the greatest comparison ever. They're two entirely different players. Like Rome Odunze, I said this last episode, I'll stick with it. He's at like 675. He's hitting that.
Yeah.
Dude, he might lead the Bears.
Right. I think all three of the Bears, like top receivers, like all three of those guys, I think are going to hit 1,000.
Keenan's not.
That's kind of where I'm feeling right now. When he keeps producing, man. Until he stops, I don't know if
he keeps producing, man. But he's, first of all, missed a lot of games the last 2 years.
He has.
He is weighing in at 230 pounds. He's looking slow. He's the third option there. I do not think he's hitting 1,000 yards next year. I would fade that.
The only thing I think would prevent him from hitting 1,000 would literally just be injury.
I think being washed could also stop him from doing that. Like, what if he looks really slow? Like, really like, oh man, he's really struggling to move.
He's looked slow before, man.
So do you think how many yards do you think 50-year-old Keenan Allen could get?
I don't know. 50-year-old
speed
Keenan
doesn't matter at all.
All I'm saying, like, you look at Tyler Lockett last year, right? I mean, how many yards after the catch did he have? Zero, like basically zero, because he just fell down every time he caught the ball.
And he was in a stacked offense with other receivers, right? Getting a little older, not quite as athletic as he used to be. 894 yards a career, not a career low. The lowest since 2017 for him.
Yeah, and that was with the quarterback play being bad because the offensive line was bad. Like, that was in a negative situation offensively. I feel like the Bears are in a better situation.
Played 17 games. So how does that correlate to Keenan getting 1,000 yards? If he got less.
He got less, but in like a worse offensive situation.
How different is the Bears' offensive situation
and if Keenan got 800 yards, I would still feel pretty good about that. Like
I think so.
that wouldn't be a negative season.
I'd feel really good if he got 800 yards. That's a long way from 1,000, which is what you're saying.
It is. But like,
right? You feel good about 800, so you feel.
I'd feel good about 800, but I feel like they can all get 1,000.
They can, but I would bet against all three of them getting 1,000. But Matt, you're the one who said Rome Odunze is getting over what, six? Was it 600 something?
675. He's just better than this, bro.
Yeah.
Like, he's just better than this. I don't know. I get it. It's like you listen to the fantasy people, and it's not that I don't believe the fantasy people. I know that the fantasy people, like, on average, are right. Like, they've got the juice. They've got the formulas, man. But then it's like, target share this and whatever that. And then Rome Odunze's like wide receiver 45, and he's got a great quarter. Like, dude, he's just great. He's just a great player. We love him as a prospect. He's looked dope. I think he's going to have a great connection with Caleb. And here's the thing. Give Keenan Allen his 1,000. Give DJ Moore his 1,200. Rome can't get 700? Really?
Sure.
Like, dude, Teddy Bridgewater supported 3,000-yard receivers before. We're asking for this dude to get 700. Like, it's the idea that he's not going to be able to see, like, 90 targets, 85 targets. I've said this, like, 100 times this offseason. I just can't get behind it.
It's free money.
All assuming that, like, yeah, it's...
I think.
It's a guarantee.
It's a lock.
No, I completely agree with you. I think he's a good bet to lead the Bears in receiving yards. Like, honestly, he and Caleb coming in at the same time, their connection has looked great this preseason. There's the concerns with Keenan Allen, whether you believe them or not. Like, he is getting a little bit older. I don't think it's any guarantee that he just gets the free production with Caleb that he did with Herbert. Like, I just don't know if their chemistry is going to be on that level when Caleb is getting Keenan for the first time at this stage in his career, right? So I think that's going to lean more Rome's way, and I think even with him and DJ Moore, it could lean more Rome's way because Caleb's never played with any of these dudes before. Like, and I think Rome has looked the best this preseason. Like, not that is much at all, but it's
DJ
true.
Moore even played in preseason much?
Yeah,
or at all?
He ran a horrible slant route and got locked up by Mike Hilton. JT O'Sullivan roasted him and said he wasn't a real wide receiver one or whatnot. Right. I don't think that is quite fair to DJ Moore after the season he had last year. But
yeah,
I do think, like, hey, Caleb has played training camp. He's played preseason. Maybe he likes Rome the best. Maybe he doesn't. But at any rate, he should get more than 675 yards.
DJ Moore's line is kind of low, too. 975 after what he just did?
That one's a little bit harder than the Rome one, I think.
It's a little bit harder, but if you think Caleb's a better quarterback than Fields, and he had arguably his best season as a pro last year with Fields, I mean...
When you factor in the potential of, like, a game or two injury and new targets coming in, the Caleb straight upgrade doesn't necessarily feel as straight up. The reason why I'm a fan of Rome is that I think... Like, yeah, if he plays 17 games, even if things don't break his way in that offense, he'll hit it. But I think that things are going to break his way more in that offense to the point where he could play, like, 13 games and get 700 yards. With DJ, it's like maybe if things don't break his way, all of a sudden, like, 1,000, you know, he could just sneak under that, even if he's still a really good player. I'm not saying it's necessarily a guarantee, but I think Rome's line is better for him than DJ's.
Oh, yeah, I think Rome's line is better, too. I would agree with you there.
And if we're going to stay on the subject, honestly, one of the ones I had written down, Caleb Williams for Offensive Rookie of the Year at plus 135. I mean, I think he's going to be the best quarterback straight up. Now, there will be some competition. You know, if Daniels plays well, like, he'll be right in there. I don't think May is going to be on the offense, and he might not start right away. Knicks, I think if the Broncos are competitive, like, there's some dudes, and obviously Marvin Harrison, if he has a huge year. But at the end of the day, I just think that Caleb on an awesome offense like that is going to put up huge historic numbers and run away with this thing. Like, even if the Bears end up missing the playoffs. I just think his setup is too good and his talent is too great to turn down plus money. There's a lot of competitors, but Caleb is just so good.
Yeah, I don't think the other quarterbacks are as much of a threat as maybe even the wide receivers are. Like, I think they all could contend if they play well, but the odds that they play well are just a little bit low, I think. Like, your average rookie is not putting up Stroud numbers. Like, your average rookie is outside the top 10 in quarterback rankings, I would say, in a decent situation. And then when you look at, like, Daniels is like with Cliff, how good is his situation really? Bo Nix,
Right.
like, he's having a great preseason, but when the bullets really start flying, like, how good is he going to look real? Is he going to contend for Rookie of the Year? How good is May going to look really? And I love Drake May, and I even think Drake May is going to be the week 1 starter. I think he's going to. I think eventually they're going to say, okay, well, we're not going to roll with Brissett. But who are his wide receivers? It's looked a little like Polk and Javon Baker haven't looked as good in the preseason games as they have with the mini camp hype. Like, shocker, with training camp hype.
But hey, Chase didn't look good either in preseason. So
Sure, but these are not Jamar Chase level prospects that we're talking about here. So the odds are, like, think about the skill gap between Caleb's supporting cast and May. So I think there's no reason why Caleb shouldn't be the number 1 performing quarterback this year. He's by far, like, not by far, got the most talent because I really like May, but he clearly got the goods. He's got the best situation. This award, if it's a tie, will always go to the quarterback. The only thing I could see sinking Caleb is him just being like a victim of his own expectations, maybe, where it's like, if there's normal growing pains, maybe everybody will freak out and give it to like Marv or something. But I don't know. It's hard to lose.
I've been trying to be good about settling the expectations on Caleb a little bit, because the expectation to me feels like, from a lot of people, that he has to exceed what Stroud did last year, which is the greatest rookie quarterback season of all time. Mind you, Stroud had what? 26 passing touchdowns, or 26 total touchdowns, 5 picks, like something ridiculous. So the only thing that would make it better would be like a 4,500 yard season, 30 touchdowns, and 5.
I don't think that Stroud had the greatest
picks.
rookie quarterback season of all time. Cam's was better, but no. Let's keep it completely honest. Caleb Williams absolutely should have one of the best rookie quarterback seasons ever, and it is a disappointment if he doesn't. That is not an unfair.
If he has
no, but it's not an unfair expectation at all. It's completely fair. He's the number 1 overall pick. He's hyped as a generational prospect. He has an unbelievable supporting cast in terms of weapons. Why would he not? I think it's completely fair. Now, I'll say this. Maybe something comes up and, like, okay, the play calling is just atrocious. The offensive line is like, I'm not saying I think these things are going to happen. If something like that happens, like, we can obviously, like, look back and say, like, okay, well, blank happened, right? But going into this year, I think just being like, well, he just needs to be good. Like, no, he needs to be great. Like, there's really no reason why this shouldn't be fantastic.
Yes, but if we're talking about awards, right, the numbers are going to be the thing that drives this mostly. And I think about, like, Mahomes is obviously the best quarterback in the world last year. He didn't have the best quarterback numbers. And, like, from a statistics standpoint, definitely not his best statistical season. I don't think it's crazy to say that, like, Caleb Williams could go out and not have, he could not have like 4,200 passing yards. He could not have.
I don't think he needs to get 4,200
touchdowns.
Passing yards and 30 touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but if we're holding him to the expectation of be better than Stroud last year.
Stroud had 23 touchdowns and 4,100 passing yards.
Well,
do you think Caleb could hit those
26
numbers?
Total. 26
Yeah,
total.
I think
but
sub 23 passing touchdowns for a 17 game Caleb Williams season. I guess let's count in rushing too, because Caleb's probably going to run a lot more than. Yeah, if you told me there was like 25 Caleb Williams touchdowns in 17 games, I'd be like, dang. And I think most people would be like, and I guess the raising expectation, I think, is going to be treated by some people as like, oh, it's unfair. It isn't, though. It isn't unfair. Like, these are valid expectations. They're here for a reason. It reminds me of Wembanyama, where it's like, we have this expectation that he's going to be one of the greatest, players ever. It's like, yeah, dude, and honestly, kind of fair with all the hype that there's been and with the position. And it's like, I kind of feel the same way about Caleb. Not that I necessarily think he's a Wembanyama level prospect. He isn't. But like, I can't think of any reason. It's his award to lose, offensive rookie of the year. Maybe Marv is like legendary in his own right, but we saw last year what happened. There was a legendary wide receiver, and they said, "Yeah, we're not going to vote for you because you're a wide receiver. You don't play the right position, buddy."
Well, I will say, if there was a receiver that I thought was good value for rookie of the year, it wouldn't be Marvin Harrison Jr. It would be Malik Neighbors. Because he's going to be the only one to touch the football like all year.
Is that a good thing though? Like,
maybe not. But here's the thing, right? If the Giants could have some devil magic luck go their way, maybe, like they did when they made the playoffs a few years back. And I don't think they would make the playoffs, but a lot of people view them as, one of the bottom feeders in the league. And if they just go absolutely crazy with Malik Neighbors, even if they don't win a lot of games, if they're in a lot of games and it's because of Malik, I think there would be some talk, and he's at plus 1,500, man.
Maybe Neighbors is that good, but I'm just not touching any Giants for any awards. How many big additions have they made? Kenny Golladay becomes the highest paid receiver after leading the league in touchdowns. It's terrible. They add Darren Waller. He's terrible. They add Kadarius Toney in the first round. He's terrible. They draft Saquon Barkley number 2 overall. He's gone after his rookie. He's gone after his rookie contract. He was great,
but he was great.
He was. Maybe he's Saquon Barkley.
Neighbors could have a Saquon level season as a receiver.
But I also maybe. I think you're a little bit more dependent on other things as a wide receiver.
You are.
Neighbors is in line for a huge target load, and he is very talented. And maybe I'm sleeping or hating here, but I just am not. It's a connection, right? It's the Daniel Jones to Malik Neighbors connection that you need, and I just don't like Daniel Jones enough. And when it's like, was Garrett Wilson in a good situation last year because he was the only guy who could get the ball? No.
Zach Wilson was much worse than Daniel Jones is, I think.
Daniel Jones is coming for that title, man. He's okay, fine. Okay, he had Zach Wilson instead of Daniel Jones. Fine, whatever. But it's not always good to be like the only dude there.
No, I get that. It's not always good, but I think it could work out. He is immensely talented, and he's in load for a huge target share. Maybe the take is you should just have him on your fantasy team, but like,
then you got to trust the MetLife turf all year. Like the
MetLife turf.
Having a bad quarterback hurts your numbers more than it helps your narrative, and that's why it's not a good thing.
It does, but we've seen receivers have pretty successful years with bad quarterback situations.
And I think
usually not, though.
A pretty successful year. I think he'll be successful, especially when you consider that he doesn't have a good quarterback. But that could be 1,100 yards, and I think like 1,100 yards wouldn't even get him close.
1,100 wouldn't, no.
He would need, and here's the I think the problem is like Puka last year got 2 first-place votes, and he had almost 1,500 yards?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think if you do worse than Puka, you probably don't win the award unless the quarterbacks are a train wreck, which I doubt, and also you have to beat Marv, who has a real quarterback. It's like, dude, I just don't know. I think there's so much working against you.
There's just something magical about being at a live event, whether it's the energy of a packed stadium, the thrill of a concert, or the laughter at a comedy show. There's truly nothing like it. I remember catching a game last year, one of those last-minute decisions where everything just fell into place. The roar of the crowd, the buzz in the air. It's an experience you just can't replicate anywhere else. And I'm really looking forward to making even more memories this year. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about Game Game Time, the app that's been a game changer for me. They've had this new feature called Game Time Picks, and trust me, it's a lifesaver. It takes all the hassle out of finding tickets by showing you the best deals on the best seats. So no more endless scrolling or second guessing. Just the other day, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming concert, one I've been dying to see, and I decided to check out Game Time Picks, and let me tell you, the deals they had were unreal. I found a super deal that was just too good to pass up, and within minutes, I had my seats locked in. The app even let me preview the view from my seats before I bought them, so I knew exactly what to expect. But what really impressed me was with how easy the whole process was. The app is super intuitive, and with features like all-in pricing, there were no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you get. Plus, with their lowest price guarantee, I knew I was getting the best possible deal. And if anything happened, like the event got canceled, they got you covered with their flexible customer service policy. So if you're anything like me and you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets, you've got to check out Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code BLADENK for $20 off your first purchase. That's, of course, BLAIDENK for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. What about Brian Thomas?
Ooh, I've got a Brian Thomas take for you.
There you go.
He was one of my long shots. Brian Thomas to lead the league in receiving touchdowns, plus 9,000. Love this bet.
Oh my God.
Guess
plus
who led
9,000.
Plus 9,000. Guess who led the league in end zone targets in the red zone last year? It was Calvin Ridley. Why isn't Brian Thomas just the new Calvin Ridley in the Jaguars offense? I think that he is going to be heavily leaned on in the red zone, and a fourth of his catches last year at LSU were touchdowns. I think there is a very clear path to him scoring double digits. Like, let's forget about leading it. Okay, maybe you won't lead it. Maybe Tyreek Hill will. If I told you Brian Thomas Jr. 10 touchdowns next year, what would you think? Like, I think it's like the environment is there. Like last season, Trevor really leaned on just one guy when they got down there. That guy is gone. Brian Thomas Jr. enters and he caught a bunch. He has had a very good preseason, I think. He hasn't. Parker Washington has been kind of the blanket. But when they need a big play, I feel like Brian Thomas Jr. has flashed insane ability with his one-handed go ball catch. He had a comeback on 3rd down and 5 in the second preseason game. That was just a beautiful, beautiful route. Like, he's fluid, he's big, he's fast, he's tall. Like, he can make contested catches. He can score from outside the red zone too, as many opportunities as he could get inside the red zone. Plus 9,000 odds. I put $10 on it to win almost 1,000, like 910. There are other guys that I like.
Your birthday present, Theo.
It could be. There are other guys I like in this category. Cooper Kupp at plus 4,100 is a pretty good one. Honestly, Nico Collins again, I kind of like here as well. Rashee Rice is with as much as the Chiefs pass it in the red zone and how many screens they throw him in the red zone. I don't think is a terrible bet for this. But biggest long shot and one that I think is definitely on the table, Brian Thomas Jr. Because, a lot of times like 12, 13 touchdowns gets it done.
Yeah, I don't think it's a crazy take. I thought I saw some news today about like the Jaguars being like he's still got some work to do in his development, which made me a little bit nervous about what his role was going to be from day one. But the logic here is that he's a crazy red zone threat, which the Jaguars badly need, and their offense can move the ball. I just can't finish. So maybe he goes nuts. I don't hate it at all. I really like it. I think that's he caught a bunch of touchdowns in college for a reason, man. He's a beast. And in general, I'm high on him, but obviously it's a long shot.
There was a prop on FanDuel, Theo. Brian Thomas Jr. to score 10-plus receiving touchdowns in the regular season, plus 600 odds.
Plus 600's low. I'd rather have lead the league for plus 9,000 than 10-plus for plus 600, I think.
All right, man.
Am I wrong about the plus 600? I feel like it should be a little bit higher than that, should it not? Like I like the bet.
What do you think the number? Yeah, I mean last year was 13 to lead the league. I mean, for 600 to 9,000, I'm sure there's somebody who like knows betting well and knows what like the implied odds are there, like what the difference is. But like, dude, I don't know. I might rather take the 30 for plus 600. I mean, that's
You could
kitty
put money
man. We
on
don't
both.
even care about
You could
that.
put money on both.
Nah, that's bacon
that's right.
stuff.
Oh, bro.
But anyway, I love Brian Thomas Jr., specifically the touchdown overs, because like you said, Matt, he's not going to be a perfectly polished prospect right out. Like maybe he's more of a red zone threat than a complete receiver. So I think the touchdowns are a little bit safer than the yardage, but he's going to be on the field. Like he's going to be one of their starting 3 and 11 personnel. Like he might have some work to do, but I definitely think he's going to be a week 1 starter and on the field at a high rate pretty much immediately. Will he be targeted between the 20s and be super effective there? I don't know, but once we get to the red zone, I think it's going to be Brian Thomas Jr. time. So what do you guys got next?
I have. I'll go ahead and throw this one out here real quick. You know how we've been talking about how the Chiefs are going to be like maybe sort of like a even super powered, just like running the league version of themselves more so than ever. Their line's 11.5. I kind of feel like this isn't going to be an 11-win Chiefs season. I think this is going to be like a 13-win Chiefs season. This is going to be like one of their more dominant sort of, we're still on top. We can hit big plays. We're coasting in the regular season. Don't know if that ends up in another Super Bowl. Obviously it's that those two things are different. But last year they were like sort of maybe a little finicky at times. This year I don't think that's going to be the case whatsoever. I think they're going to totally crush. So I have their over. One of my questions though for you guys, it's maybe a little bit more out there, but I noticed, and this is just like a question about the sports books, I guess. You can get some teams, like some real long shots to win the division. Like I look at the Vikings at plus 950 to win the division, and it's like, okay, well, I don't really like that. But my question is like, if you were going to bet the Vikings to win the NFC North at plus 950, wouldn't you be better off voting like Kevin O'Connell at plus 2,000 to win Coach of the Year? Because he would be like a virtual lock to win it if they were to win the NFC North, right? When we talk about Coach of the Year, we talk about teams beating expectations.
Yeah.
And that would be the massive, like that would be the biggest beat expectations out there. I feel like it would make sense to go with O'Connell. Now, of course, we don't really like that because we think the Lions and the Packers are really, really good, and we really like Caleb Williams. So it's like somebody's got to be down here a little bit. But for the same sort of logic, you can get like the Colts to win the AFC South at plus 310, and you can get Shane Steichen to win Coach of the Year at plus 1,500.
Matt, you just stole my next one. Was
Dude, if
Shane
you guys-
Steichen Coach of the Year?
I think absolutely at plus 1,500. If the Colts were to win the AFC South, I think that Steichen would have an incredibly good shot at it.
I don't know if I like betting Coach of the Year on. It's like a random name generator, that award.
I don't think so at all.
I've two guys that I would consider for it. The first is Shane Steichen. The second is Mike McDonald, but I'm not seeing the odds for McDonald.
It's not a bad
now.
one. You have no guts? Because I have comeback player of the year on here, big bro. So
Oh, let's go.
you don't have any narrative.
Oh my God.
Wait, who do you have for comeback player of the year, man?
Nobody. I was gonna ask you guys about what you thought about comeback player of the year odds.
You mean most improved player? You mean
Yeah, who knows, man? I've been thinking
I
about
don't even
that.
know what the award is.
You guys got the Coach of the Year talk, man. I would advise against betting on Coach of the Year, but
I don't know. I feel like there's a handful of guys that you know are in the running, and then you just kind of pick the guy that you think is in the best circumstance.
Maybe
or
I'm
that-
overestimating the odds of a Colts winning the AFC South, guaranteeing a Steichen Coach of the Year victory. Maybe Richardson's really crazy, and that's the narrative behind it. But in general, I think the Colts have a really good chance to surprise, and I think that makes Steichen's odds pretty good.
Richardson being great would not, I don't think, would prevent Steichen from winning Coach of the Year unless Richardson won MVP. I think that would be the only thing that would prevent a Steichen.
Yeah, because it's like you look at the Browns.
They won 4.
Right. They were able to get like kind of. It wasn't like, well, this is the one thing that we're saying is happening for them. Where it's like, okay, well, Flacco gets comeback player of the year, and then our narrative is that Stefanski got lucky because Flacco was so good. No, they also are like, Stefanski did it with Flacco. Wow. And it's like, okay, well, so it's both? You know?
This is what I'm saying. Like, just don't bet coach of the year. Like, what is the logic? And what's the logic between...
No. Stefanski, it wasn't that Stefanski did it with Flacco. It was Stefanski did it with like 5 quarterbacks or 4 quarterbacks. True. Right? That's so I think... If someone told you that they were betting Stefanski to be coach of the year last year, I don't think you would have like called them insane. I think there's a handful of guys that can be in the running for that. Steichen and McDonald, I think, are both pretty valid bets. I'm trying to think who else, but those two I think are definitely in good spots to potentially win coach of the year. McDonald maybe less so because I don't think the Seahawks are going to win the West, but.
I mean, you just named 2 guys that aren't even at the top of the coach of the year opening odds. Eberflus,
they're not.
Harbaugh, Morris, LaFleur. So to say like they're the only 2 that you can imagine doing it, like
no, but I don't think Harbaugh is going to win it. Like the Chargers are going to be terrible, or unless you're talking about
the sports books really think the Chargers are going to be like. I'm not even trying to like, hey, dude, sports.
How many games would the Chargers have to win for Harbaugh to win coach
10.
of the year?
I think 10 or 11.
They're not winning 10. Like, there's no way.
I don't think so either. I don't really. I guess that's maybe. I don't know. I don't know what. I think if they made the playoffs, he could get it done.
I think the key to winning coach of the year is your team is good and you get all of the success you get all of the shine instead of your quarterback. Kevin Stefanski. Like we just talked about. Brian Daboll the year before. He got the credit instead of Daniel Jones. The year before that, it was Mike Vrabel. He got the credit instead of Tannehill. The year before that, it was Kevin Stefanski. He got the credit instead of who was the Browns starter in 2020 and 2021? Baker.
Yeah.
So Sean McVay gets the credit instead of Goff.
You like Antonio Pierce at plus 2,000 is what you're saying. I see your vision.
So it's like what coach is going to that's why Eberflus at plus 900 at the top, and I guess I'm agreeing that these coach of the year opening odds at the top are kind of whack because it's like Eberflus would never get the credit if Caleb Williams is good. Like Caleb Williams would get all the credit. But I think the same thing could be true with like Richardson.
I think McDonald is perfect to do it though. People are kind of low on Geno right now.
Yeah.
And he's a defensive guy. The defense was terrible last year.
It'd be it'd be like an A/B test that really does help him.
I do think that I don't think that these are bad bets to win coach of the year. I just don't think you should be betting coach of the year.
Maybe not.
But
I might put money on McDonald.
You should be instead putting that money on plus 9,000 Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
That's definitely gonna hit.
I have one that I know you'll love. How about Okay. I know you guys are gonna love this one. It's over 2.5 interceptions for Derek Stingley Jr. at plus 114.
I kind of do like that.
Bro, I think you could get that in one game.
I think so too. I think so. 2.5. He had 5 last season. To get over 2.5 at plus money, like I just think he's going to get 3 picks this year. I guess to be a buzzkill, the injury history with him is pretty terrifying. Picks are kind of. Yeah, I get not wanting to bet on interceptions because you can be totally locked down and not get thrown like Sauce Gardner, right? His target rate got down to the bottom of the league last year. So maybe that happens with Stingley and he doesn't get the interception. It's just that his ball skills are so unbelievably good, I feel like. Some of the picks he's able to make, it's not like they just hit him in the face mask. He's able to extend, track it. Like
he's great at intercepting the ball. Like he has great ball skills, yeah.
So that's one that I like a lot. Needs really no explanation. I got another. I'm just going 2 for
go.
Arizona Cardinals week 1. Covering the spread versus the Bills, plus 6.5. Tell me that's not money. The Bills were not that good at covering the spread last year, and they consistently got big spreads because they're Buffalo and they have Josh Allen. It was not uncommon to see 5-6 point, they're 5-6 point favorites, and they covered that less than half of the time. When you look at the big offenses last year who always got big spreads, the 49ers, the Dolphins, who else? The Eagles, I think, although the Eagles struggled a little bit too. But most of the teams at the top consistently earned it. Like, they consistently covered it. The Bills are a bit of an outlier in that they did it less than half the time. And this is a bigger spread than they were typically getting last year. Last year was about 5.5 on average. This time it's 6.5. Against a Cardinals team that I think is going to be pretty feisty this year. Like, I don't know how good the defense is going to be. You're muted.
Pesky,
yeah.
Pesky.
So I don't think that this is going to be like easier than their average matchup last year when they were kind of struggling to cover spreads. Their secondary is weaker. The target share and pecking order still has yet to be worked out. Like, who exactly do you want this offense to run through? They may not know right away. I think that's something that could get figured out after the bye for them when they could be a little bit stronger. Week 1 against the Cardinals, I could see that being a stunning upset, and a Cardinals money line not even being horrible there. To get 6.5 points on the spread, I'd be taking that.
Is this more Bills slander or Cardinals hype?
It's both. Because the Cardinals did a good job against the spread last year, whereas the Bills did a bad job. And last season when Kyler Murray came back, they went on the road and they beat the Eagles. They went on the road and they beat the Steelers, which isn't the craziest playoff team to beat, but they still beat that playoff team. And then they went on the road and they were within 5 points of the Texans. That one kind of went down to the wire. So I think last year with Kyler, they already had shown that they can go out there and give good teams some, a run for their money. This year, I think they're going to be more complete. The Bills a little bit less complete. Definitely like the Cardinals covering that spread week 1.
I think you're hating on Josh Allen a little bit. I'm not saying I hate it. I mean, I think it's a perfectly fine bet. I kind of think that Allen will tear up that defense a little bit.
Joe Brady gonna run it.
No, I think I'll believe in Josh, but I don't think it's crazy. I didn't have any like week 1 bets.
That's fair. That was just
Matt,
caught my eye when I was going through things.
What are your what are your thoughts on the Panthers plus 1,100 to win the NFC South?
Hey, now, I've been meaning to make a video about how the Panthers are like low-key one of the most underrated teams by sports books because they're more pesky than the books expect. They have more moxie than the books know. They have there's spunk to that squad that Vegas hasn't figured out about yet.
Right.
Leggett hasn't played in the preseason, so people don't know he's Des Bryant yet. It happens.
Yeah, they're still sleeping on Leggett.
It's facts.
They don't believe in Bryce wrongly. It's just a lot of things coming together when their line really should be like, 9-10 wins. Instead, it's 5.5.
Yeah, and that's why Matt has, this month's rent on the Panthers.
Oh yeah, I got more
to make
than
the
that.
playoffs.
No, I mean,
got a few racks. No, I will say this though. Going along with the Bills, and I don't actually like this line as much. Well, I don't like the line, but the placement is weird to me. AFC East division winners. The Jets are plus 155. The Bills are plus 175. The Dolphins are plus 240. They're close enough together that it's not like outrageous, but we all picked the Dolphins to win the AFC East.
Still think it's a good bet. We talked about this last props episode that this was a good bet.
Did we? Dolphins to win the East?
Mm-hmm. That was one of mine.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that. But yeah, that's just something that I was like, man.
I got another Dolphins one though.
Okay.
Crazy. Is it Waddle.
Well, I already did Waddle plus 1,000. Another one.
Oh.
My fault.
Jalen Wright, most regular season rookie rushing yards plus 220.
I like that one, man. I think Jalen Wright is a beast. My running back one out of this class, man.
That's true.
And I think he's in a great situation. Everybody's like, he's not going to play because he's the third running back. And it just sounds to me, I'm just getting that feeling that it's kind of like David Montgomery can't possibly keep taking touches from this player who was drafted so highly. It's like, dude, I actually think that they're definitely going to run Jalen Wright because he's a fantastic player. And you have, Mostert is pretty old, and A-Chain is, pretty injury prone. So why wouldn't you run him? Why wouldn't you have a 3-back rotation there? Outside of that being annoying to fantasy people, what would be the reasoning behind not doing that?
There isn't a good
Wright
one.
is bad. There isn't one, and I think unless you think Wright is bad, and I think he's good. So I'm trying to think of the other rookies. I mean, Brooks would be the guy I'd be worried about, but he's not ready to go yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the odds leaders for this.
Oh yeah,
for this stat.
Jaden Daniels is second, right?
Yeah, so Jonathan Brooks is first at plus 250. Jaden Daniels is second. Trey Benson is third. Blake Corum is fourth. Shout out. Braylon Allen is fifth. Shout out. Sixth is so funny. Guess who sixth is?
Sixth on the rookie. Is it
No.
Bo Nix?
It is Bo Nix. Oh
Yeah,
my god!
I mean, I was looking at it earlier when I bet on this. It's just not a very tough competition for Jalen Wright. And if he is the third back all year, I don't think he'll get there. I really don't. But their running back room is easily banged up. Mostert and A-Chain.
Afloat, being the third back, and then if an injury happens, he'll be within striking distance.
Yep.
That's the key there. It won't be like he's not going. I don't think he'll just not see the ball at all. Is I think the thing to look at here. So I like that as a long shot. I really like Jalen Wright this year. I'm super excited for him.
Yeah, at plus 220, I put $5 on it for a payout of 115. Like, who knows? It's an offense that can put up video game numbers. I'm not against whatever you bet in terms of being if you're betting on the Dolphins. I think A-Chain is going to be 2010 Jamal Charles again, right? Like, I think Waddle is going to be sick. Like, any Dolphins bet is okay by me. But
I'm a little disappointed there aren't any props on Matt Corral. Why?
I was gonna make a plus to make a roster joke, but shout out Matt Corral instead.
Shout out
legend.
Matt Corral.
I'll bet his under on EPA next preseason game. negative 3.5 total EPA next game. What are we taking?
You don't mean that, man. I was gonna see if I could bet on Vikings, Eagles, other than just like the game lines.
No.
And that to me seems psychotic. I mean, like, what do you have to be doing to bet on preseason lines? It's like, how do they even possibly come up with them? How do they know? Like, why is one? I guess, like, is one team in general being better good? Or do they take into account like how teams like play their preseasons? Because some teams are more aggressive than others with playing their starters, and hypothetically, you'd like that, right?
Yeah, I mean the
I don't know.
Steelers are minus money against the Lions this week, so
I would not bet on. Don't bet on Coach of the Year. Don't bet on Comeback Player of the Year, and don't bet on preseason.
Do bet on Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. I'll leave that up to you. Preseason,
That's what I'm
probably
saying,
not, though.
why?
That's
why
all the ones that
wouldn't
I
you
had
bet
written
on Coach
down,
of the
though.
Year?
I got a couple of long shot sack leaders. I don't know why I'm telling people don't bet on Coach of the Year, and I'm betting on like sack leader long shots. But
It was like,
Leatu
don't bet on
Latu,
Coach of the Year, but
I got Leatu Latu at plus 6,000. Yeah.
I think he's great, but
Rashawn Gary plus 7,500.
All right.
stop. Be so
Yeah.
real right now, man.
$1 on Quinnen Williams to win 201. I couldn't resist the $1.
Yeah, I mean, how could anybody really? It's
No, it's
some people
stupid.
play the Powerball.
Look, Leatu's going to do it. How about one more? Christian McCaffrey, most regular season rushing touchdowns, plus 850. Plus 850 for Christian McCaffrey. Like, come on, man. They get to the red zone constantly. They run it when they get there, and they don't have like a Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or something. It's a pretty, like, he scored a touchdown in 17 straight games. Like, he could start another little streak like that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
For plus 850, like, those are long odds. That's like,
here's the thing.
That's like a bad team to make the playoffs. Christian McCaffrey to lead the regular season.
He was
rushing
fourth.
touchdowns.
He was fourth last year. Raheem Mostert. That's the thing, is you have to avoid an like oddball running back going off for 18 touchdowns. And he doesn't play with quarterbacks that are going to take his touchdowns away. But Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen had 15 on the ground last year. And I'm not going to believe that they're going to have substantially less. I could see maybe Hurts. Like, maybe they give it to Saquon in the red zone. But, like, I think they love their tush push, man. And if they get to
tush push is over. Year of film on it.
Tush push is over.
Jason Kelce gone. Yeah, not happening.
Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds, man. No film.
No film can stop. Well, what do you mean? I don't think it's any guarantee that like Hurts gets 15 again. His rushing touchdowns went from 7 to 15. You know, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or that's Josh Allen. That's my bad. That's the Josh Allen that I'm looking at.
Is that Allen?
He went from 7 to 15.
What did Hurts get in 2022 on the ground?
2022, he got 13. He's been double digits 3 straight years, so he's probably not a bad bet. And the tush push might just fundamentally change how the 1 yard line works forever, and quarterbacks might just run that now. I don't know. So maybe it's not as free as I initially thought. But I guess
I don't know. McCaffrey's still like, if I were to pick a running back, I would pick him to do it. But yeah, I would definitely. Honestly, what are Derrick Henry's odds, Theo? I feel like that's
a little bit higher.
For you.
It's a little bit higher, and that's valid too. Derrick Henry could do it. Lamar Jackson is a great rushing quarterback, but he's not like a Josh Allen touchdown numbers.
I wouldn't pick Lamar because I think if the Ravens get to the 1 yard line, they're giving it to Henry.
But plus 850 for Christian McCaffrey implies a 10% chance that it happens. And maybe that's true, but I would think it's a little bit higher than that. So that's my last one. Now we'll stop yapping.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think that line's fair. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But I still bet it, and I can't cash out. So
I can't unbet it. Oh my gosh!
So it's
someone check on Theo, man. Cammy, if you can hear this,
look,
take care of our boy.
Betting Christian McCaffrey to lead the league in rushing touchdowns is a normal one.
That is a normal one. It's
betting
probably
making 3 different $5 sack leader bets. That one is a little bit worse, I'd say.
Yeah, but at least it's only $5, you know.
True. You're losing money not betting on Rashawn Gary to lead the league in sacks. Second highest pressure rate over the last 3 years. It will translate this time.
Oh, I'm sure. It's eventually it has to.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
But hey, I think that does it for another episode of Stay Hot. I assume you guys saw that Denver named Bo Nix the starter.
Stidham robbed. No. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. And hopefully we'll see the same announcement for Drake May soon.
Facts. Hopefully.
Brissett, not as good. We talked about it. But enjoy another weekend of preseason, everyone. Wish Theo a very happy birthday in the comments. The big 1-7. And until next time, we will catch you guys on the flippity flop.